Hi. I'm very excited to be here. What I'd like to ask you is, I am very much a deliberate creator, and I love being one. And I think I spend a lot of time on intentions and expectations. I feel like, should I spend time on one over the other? So if I spend time on expectations, would you prefer that I do that, or start with the intentions and let what happens happen?
Well, the reason that we really like the word and the experience of expectation even more than the word and experience of intention. Intention seems a bit, and semantics, people could interpret words in different ways. But generally speaking, if I'm intending something or desiring something or wanting something, that's part of the equation. If I'm believing it, that's the other part of the equation. And expectation is focused on desire with expectation. So it's a non-resisted energy. So expectation is just a really powerful word. You get what you expect. So when you say that you are a deliberate creator, we know that. We can feel that from you. We want you to begin saying, I'm a deliberate feeler. I care about my mood. I care about my emotion. I guide my thoughts based upon the way they feel. Because when you put emotion into the equation, then you can't go wrong. There are a lot of people who want to use mind control, and we're talking about that to a certain extent. We ask our friend to focus on things that felt better. Just focus on them. Find something that feels better. But we know if the motive is the way you feel, then you've got a far better probability of accomplishing it than if you're trying to sort out thoughts and put them into piles and make something of them. Because when you let emotions guide you, now you find something that gives you a vibrational wavelength that will bring other things that match it. So we've been saying to people, you could have 5 major subjects in your life, and 4 of them could be not going well at all. And 1 of them could be going well. And some would say, well, shouldn't I think about all 5 things that are important to me? And we say, not at all. If 4 of them aren't going well, then thinking about those 4 that aren't going well is going to hold you in a vibration of things not going well. So focus on the one that's going well, focus on it consistently, and before you know it, all 5 things will be going well. Humans sort of play it a different way. Often, you got 5 things, that's far less than what you really have going on, but let's say 5 just for the sake of ease. And let's say 4 of them are going pretty well. They are. The majority of your life is going pretty well. But there's that one thing that is bothering you, which you give nearly your undivided attention to. It's what you talk about. It's what you think about when you go to sleep. It's what you think about when you get up. It's what you use as your excuse not to be on your high-flying disc. And so, expectation. Expect to feel good. And expect to be able to feel good. And expect to be able to know the difference. And expect to be able to get on your high-flying disc. And expect to be able to stay there for a while. And expect to know the difference. And expect to know what to do when you get off. And expect to get back on when you get off. And expect the world to respond to your high-flying vibration. Just come to expect that. This is the cornerstone of the worthiness that you are all reaching for. You are so wanting to know your value, and the best way to know it is to demonstrate it. And the only way to demonstrate it is through alignment, and the only way to demonstrate it through alignment is to focus, and the only way to focus consistently is to care about the way you feel. We like that you are expectant. And we love that Esther is now at the place where she expects to feel good when she wakes up in the morning. And she expects to feel good an hour later. And she expects the day to respond, not just the birds and the skunks, not just the nature out there. She expects humans to respond to her. She expects things to go well for her. She expects it because law of attraction is consistent. It never gets squirrely. It always reflects back. And so you know why Esther expects her world to go well? Because she expects herself to maintain her alignment on her high-flying disc. She's proven to herself that she can do it for a consistent enough period of time that now there's no guessing, there's no ifing, there's no wondering. It's a sure thing. It's an absolute thing. And so now words like invincible, I'm certain, I'm sure are coming from her. Mm-hmm. Aren't those the perfect reflection of expectation?
Very much.
Yeah. Really good.
Yeah.
Something more?
There's a lot of people that complain a lot. I interact with them daily.
And I find them amusing.
Right.
And I find them interesting. And I find myself wondering why they don't just get on the high-flying disc.
Here's kind of a fun example. So I was at dinner with my mother-in-law yesterday. And it was...
Looking for love in all the wrong places.
Visiting. We had a wonderful... It was a great time, and we were talking about... My wife and I have this rule in our home where when you come into our house, you take your shoes off. Because we don't want to track dirt into the house. So my mother-in-law is sitting there and she says, you know, I would love it if my husband took his shoes off when he walked into our home. And I said, well, why don't you just tell him to take his shoes off? And she looked at me like I had 3 eyes. And I was like, well, why don't you just tell your family to take their shoes off? Because if it's more important to you, if it's that important to you, then I like to feel that things will rub off on other people. If it's so important to her, and that's going to make her experience better, I would almost feel like if people approach things with that kind of passion, then who's ever listening or interacting with that person can't help but kind of get a rub of that and say, wow, you know, if it's that important to you that I do something as simple as just taking my shoes off, then I like to think if more people had that kind of confidence in what they wanted themselves, then when they're interacting with people, that they would kind of bring those people up.
Well, what you're talking about in part is your own personal momentum.
Sure.
In other words, as you are in agreement with your wife and you take your shoes off, then it's the most natural thing in the world for you to
right.
take your shoes
Easy.
Take your shoes off. You don't think about it. But someone who has not been taking their shoes off, it's not the most natural thing in the world. And the most significant thing that we want to say, if we were speaking to someone who would like people to take their shoes off, but who has a husband that she does not expect will. You see, now you're back to your original question. She can't get what she doesn't expect. We've been saying to you, when you say something and don't mean it, the universe hears what you do mean. So the fake it till you make it is not a vibrationally accurate statement.
Right.
And the act as though I am and I will be is not a vibrationally accurate statement either if it's talking about action. So what has to come first is the expectation has to come first. So the further conversation, provided that you were on the same wavelengths with this woman when you were speaking, mm-hmm. would go something like, I can see how that would seem hard because it's hard to imagine him doing it since he's never done it. And it's hard to expect him to do it since it isn't usual. And that has to come first. That has to come first in everything. That's what we've been talking about. You bring us full circle to where we started this morning when we were saying that you've got these vortices that you have put out there through life experience. There are things you don't want. So let's say she's got this vortex out there where people walk into her house, including her husband, or mostly her husband, who are tracking dirt into the house and she doesn't like it. Well, that's been her observation and that's been what she's been pushing against. That is her expectation. And so you just can't change the behavior. You just can't tell someone to do something different. That's the thing that is going wrong with your society today. As far as anything goes wrong, there's nothing really going wrong. But that's what causes you the most consternation, is that there are so many people who really believe that it's right for us not to wear shoes in our house, and therefore it's probably right for you to not wear shoes in your house. And you would like to not wear shoes in your house, but your mate doesn't agree. And why doesn't somebody just make a rule? Let's make a law. Don't wear shoes in the house. Mm-hmm. And how do those laws go? If she made that law and he really cared about how she felt, and he understood that there would be negative repercussions for him. He'd have hell to pay if he will not wear his shoes in the house if he thinks she is around and will catch him. But we promise you, he'll go in the house with his shoes on every time she's not looking around. Just like people break laws all the time. So you were right when you began this conversation. It all starts with expectation. It's not about action, it's about expectation. It's not about rigidness. It's not about holding the reins back. It's not about getting people to conform. It's not about getting people to comply. It's not about being the biggest and the baddest with the biggest bombs. It's not about being able to affect the greatest punishment on people or on anyone because they disobey or because they disagree. It's about finding personally something that you care about and focusing on it and affirming it from your high-flying disc enough that you get momentum going so that your power of influence then sweeps people willingly in. Because unless you have swept them willingly in, you haven't convinced them. Nothing has changed. So, what is the power of influence? The power of influence is alignment and energy and vibration. It's having the energy that creates worlds flowing to you and through you. There's a powerful, powerful influence that comes from that kind of alignment, you see. And in that kind of alignment, what others are then inspired to aligns them with the goodness and the core that is them. Ooh. Did you follow that? Did you follow that, you see? Mm-hmm. And everything else is sort of superfluous, isn't it? So, we rarely, in fact, we never have offered a test question at the end of a gathering, but we're going to do it now. Just so you can feel how far you've come in this time that we've been together. If you didn't want someone to wear their shoes in your house, do you feel inclined to make a very strong, deliberately spoken statement and demanding with your forcefulness that they just take off their shoes before they come in? Or would you rather allow thousands of them to walk in with their shoes on while you figure out how to get on the high-flying disc and do it vibrationally? Then our work here is done. Then our work here is done. We have enjoyed this interaction more than words can convey. You are magnificent beings who are in this moment in alignment with who you are. And whether you are in any moment in time in alignment with who you are or not, whether you're walking around on clean carpet with dirty shoes or not, there is no transgression that you have defined as a transgression that is egregious enough to ever cause that which is source to look with anything other than love and appreciation upon that which you are. And it is our desire that you find yourself in that place of refined alignment and absence of resistance so that you can begin moving through your world in that high-flying expectation of well-being, not just for you, but for everyone else. There is great love here for you. And as always, we remain stubbornly, perpetually, chronically, deliberately, completely, emphatically, joyously, never-endingly, eternally, this could take too long, in the vortex.